What would you do if you kicked down a door expecting to find drugs and guns, but instead discovered something that would haunt you for the rest of your career? Tonight, we're taking you inside one of the most disturbing police raids in Los Angeles history. A routine gang operation in East LA that turned into a nightmare nobody saw coming. I'm talking about Detective Mike Reeves, LAPD, summer of 1987. A 20-year veteran who thought he'd seen it all in the streets of Los Angeles. The Bloods, the Crips, the Mexican Mafia. He'd busted them all. But on August 14th, 1987, during a raid on a suspected 18th Street gang safe house, Detective Reeves would make a discovery so disturbing that it would change everything he thought he knew about organized crime in La. Before we dive in, this story has multiple twists you won't believe. Stay with me until the end, because the final revelation, it's something straight out of a horror movie. Let's go back to where it all started. Los Angeles, 1987. The city was a powder keg. Crack cocaine had transformed the streets into war zones. Gang violence was at an all-time high. Every week, another body dropped. Every month, another neighborhood fell under gang control. The 18th Street Gang, one of the largest criminal organizations in LA, was expanding its territory aggressively. They were moving product, extorting businesses, and leaving a trail of bodies from Pico Union to Rampart. Detective Mike Reeves had been tracking a specific cell of 18th Street for 6 months. His informant, a low-level dealer we'll call Rico, had given him solid intel before. Rico told him about a house on Soto Street in Boyle Heights. According to Rico, this wasn't just another trap house. It's where they keep everything, Detective Rico said during their last meeting at a dive bar on Sunset. The product, the weapons, the money. But there's something else going on there. Something bad. I can't even talk about it. When Reeves pressed him, Rico just shook his head. You gotta see it yourself, man. Just be ready. That conversation stuck with Reeves. In 20 years on the force, he'd never seen an informant look that scared. He took the intel to his sergeant, Tommy Kovacs, a hard-nosed cop who'd worked South Central during the Watts riots. Kovacs didn't need much convincing. We hit it hard and fast, Kovacs said, spreading a map of Boyle Heights across his desk. 2 teams, front and back. We go in at 4 a.m. when they're least expecting it. The warrant came through on August 13th. Judge Morrison signed it without hesitation. The evidence from Rico was enough. Possession with intent to distribute, weapons charges, the works. But here's where things get interesting. The night before the raid, Reeves couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Rico's face, that fear in his eyes. What could scare a hardened criminal who'd grown up in the worst neighborhoods of East L.A.? At 3:30 a.m. on August 14th, 12 officers assembled in a parking lot 3 blocks from the target house. Reeves briefed the team. Standard procedure. Announce, breach, secure, expect armed resistance. This crew doesn't go down easy. Officer Jennifer Hayes, a rookie who'd only been on the force for 8 months, raised her hand. Detective, what are we looking for besides the usual? Reeves paused. Should he tell them about Rico's warning? Would it make them more cautious or more reckless? Just keep your eyes open, he said. Anything unusual, you report it to me directly. Understood? The team nodded. At 3:55 a.m., they rolled up to 2847 Soto Street, a 2-story house with peeling yellow paint and bars on every window. The street lights had been shot out months ago, standard gang tactic. The entire block was dark except for the flickering glow of a TV in the target house. Someone was awake. Reeves felt his heart rate spike. 20 years of raids, and he still got the adrenaline rush. But this time something felt different. The air felt heavy. Wrong. Positions, Kovacs whispered into the radio. Team Alpha stacked up at the front door. Team Bravo moved to the back entrance through the overgrown yard. Reeves was third in the stack. He could hear his own breathing inside his helmet. Could hear the safety click off on Hayes' shotgun behind him. "On my mark," Kovacs said. 3, 2, 1. The battering ram hit the door like thunder. "Police! Search warrant!" The door exploded inward. Splinters flew. Officers poured into the house like a flood. Hands up. Hands where we can see them. The living room was a disaster. Trash everywhere. Empty beer cans. Drug paraphernalia scattered across a coffee table. A TV playing some late-night infomercial with the sound muted. But no people. Clear. An officer shouted from the kitchen. Clear. Another voice from the dining room. Reeves moved toward the stairs. That's when he heard it. A sound. Soft. Almost like crying. He motioned to Hayes. She heard it too. They moved up the stairs, slowly, weapons drawn. The second-floor hallway was dark. 3 doors all closed. The sound was coming from the door at the end of the hall. LAPD. Open the door. Nothing. Reeves tried the handle. Locked. Breach it. Kovacs ordered. One kick and the door flew open. What they saw made everyone freeze. The room was decorated like a child's bedroom. Pink walls, stuffed animals, a small bed with princess sheets. But there was something deeply wrong about it. The windows were boarded up from the inside. A chain hung from one corner of the room, bolted into the wall, and in the corner, huddled and shaking, was a young girl, maybe 14 years old, Hispanic, wearing a dirty T-shirt 3 sizes too big. Hayes lowered her weapon immediately. "Jesus Christ, get her out," Reeves said, his voice barely a whisper. But as Hayes moved toward the girl, she screamed, a horrific primal sound that echoed through the house. "No, don't let him take me. Please, it's okay," Hayes said, her voice gentle. "We're police. We're here to help you. He said you'd say that. He said you were part of it." "Part of what?" That's when they heard footsteps, running, downstairs. Someone's fleeing out the back. A voice crackled over the radio. Reeves left Hayes with the girl and bolted downstairs. He burst through the back door just in time to see a figure jumping the fence into the alley. Male, 6 feet, tank top, covered in tattoos. Reeves gave chase. The alley was pitch black. Trash cans and dumpsters created an obstacle course. Reeves's boots pounded the pavement. He could hear the suspect ahead of him, knocking over trash cans, gasping for air. "Stop! Police!" The suspect turned right out of the alley onto Breed Street. Reeves was gaining. He'd run track in high school, and even at 42, he could still move. They ran past closed businesses, past parked cars. The suspect looked back over his shoulder. Mistake. He clipped a mailbox and stumbled. Reeves tackled him hard onto the concrete. "Don't move. Don't you dare move." He had him in cuffs within seconds, rolled him over, and felt his blood run cold. The man wasn't 18th Street. The tattoos were wrong. No gang markings. Instead, his arms were covered in strange symbols, occult imagery, and burned into his chest. Visible under his tank top were words in Spanish. El Coleccionista. "The collector. Who the hell are you?" Reeves demanded. The man just smiled, blood running from his split lip. "You have no idea what you just did, detective. No idea what you've started." Back at the house, the scene was chaos. Paramedics had arrived for the girl. She wouldn't let anyone touch her except Hayes. Wouldn't speak to anyone else. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Hayes asked softly. "Maria," the girl whispered. "Maria Gonzalez. How long have you been here, Maria?" The girl's eyes filled with tears. 3 years. 3 years. The words hung in the air like poison. Kovacs pulled Reeves aside. Mike, this isn't a gang house. This is something else entirely. Where's Rico? Reeves asked. Someone get Rico on the phone now. But when they tried calling Rico's pager, nothing. They sent a unit to his apartment in Echo Park. The door was open. The place had been ransacked. Blood on the floor. A lot of blood. Rico was gone. They knew, Reeves said. Somehow they knew we were coming. But that didn't make sense. The warrant had only been approved yesterday. Only a handful of people knew about the raid. Unless, Reeves looked around at his team, 12 officers, all trusted, all vetted. One of them was dirty. He didn't have time to process that thought because Hayes called him back upstairs. Detective, you need to hear this. Maria was sitting on the couch now, wrapped in a blanket, sipping water. Her hand shook so badly she could barely hold the cup. Maria's been telling me about the house, Hayes said carefully. About who brought her here. Reeves knelt down to Maria's eye level. Can you tell me, Maria? Who did this to you? The girl looked at him with eyes that had seen too much. There were many men. They would come at night, different men, sometimes in police uniforms. Reeves felt sick. Police uniforms like ours? Yes, with badges, with guns. They told me if I ever escaped, the police would bring me back, that they owned the police. Did you recognize any of them? Maria nodded slowly. One of them, he was in charge. The others called him Captain, a captain. LAPD captain involved in trafficking? Reeves stood up, his mind racing. This was bigger than a gang safe house, way bigger. Hayes, take Maria to the hospital. Full rape kit. Post a guard outside her room. Nobody gets in without my approval. Nobody. Copy that. As Hayes led Maria out, Reeves turned to the crime scene techs who were processing the house. I want every inch of this place photographed, every fingerprint, every hair, and I want it all kept quiet. No official reports until I say so. Detective, we have to file. I said no reports, not yet. Because if there really was a dirty captain, filing official paperwork would be like sending up a flare. Whoever was behind this would destroy evidence, kill witnesses, disappear. Downstairs in the basement, which they'd only just discovered behind a hidden door in the kitchen, the techs had found something even worse. A room, concrete walls, soundproof, chains hanging from hooks in the ceiling, a stained mattress on the floor, and covering one entire wall, photographs, dozens of them, different girls, different ages, all terrified. In the corner, a video camera on a tripod. Detective, one of the techs called out. His face was pale. There are tapes, dozens of VHS tapes, all labeled with dates and names. Reeves picked up one of the tapes. August 1987. Maria G. He wanted to vomit. Bag everything, he ordered. And I mean everything. This whole basement is evidence. As he walked back upstairs, Kovacs met him at the landing. Mike, we got an ID on the guy you chased down. His name is Roberto Mendez. No gang affiliation. But get this, he's a janitor at Parker Center. Parker Center, LAPD headquarters. He worked at headquarters? Reeves felt the pieces clicking together. He had access to the building, to offices, to files. That's not all, Kovacs said. When we searched him, he had keys. Not house keys, office keys, with LAPD engraving. This wasn't just one dirty cop. This was an organized operation running inside the department itself. Where is he now? Interrogation room 3. He's not talking. Asked for a lawyer immediately. Let him wait, Reeves said. I need to think. But he didn't have time to think because his radio crackled to life. All units, we have a 187 at Parker Center. Officer down. Repeat, officer down at headquarters. Reeves and Kovacs looked at each other. "Who?" Reeves demanded into the radio. The dispatcher's voice came back, shaky. "Internal Affairs Lieutenant Marcus Webb, found in his office. Single gunshot to the head. Looks like suicide, but detective, his office has been completely cleaned out. Every file is gone." Lieutenant Webb, the one person in EA who'd been investigating corruption in the department. This wasn't suicide. This was a message. Reeves made a decision that would either save his career or end it. He called a private meeting. Not at the station. Not anywhere official. A diner on Labrie at 2 a.m. Only 4 people. Himself, Kovacs, Hayes, and Detective Linda Ramirez from Vice, someone he'd worked with for years and trusted completely. "What I'm about to tell you stays between us," Reeves said, "because what we found in that house, it's connected to something inside the department." He laid it all out. Maria's testimony about cops in uniform, Mendez's keys to Parker Center, Webb's suicide right after they found the evidence. "We're looking at a trafficking ring," Reeves said, "operating out of LAPD, using gang houses as fronts, and it goes high. Captain level, at least." Hayes looked sick. She'd only been a cop for 8 months, and her entire worldview was crumbling. "How high? I don't know yet, but we're going to find out." Ramirez had been quiet, processing. "The tapes from the basement? Have you watched them?" "Not yet. I wanted to wait until we were somewhere secure. My cousin has a video editing studio in Burbank," Ramirez said. "No LAPD connections. We can watch them there." 2 hours later, the 4 of them sat in a small editing bay, the door locked. Reeves slid the first tape into the VCR, the one labeled Maria G. What they saw for the next 30 minutes was pure evil. Maria younger, terrified, being abused by men in masks. But at the 12-minute mark, one of the men took his mask off. Maybe he was drunk. Maybe he thought the camera was off. They all recognized him immediately. Captain Frank Morrison, West Bureau. The same Captain Morrison who'd overseen dozens of gang task forces, who'd been decorated for his work fighting organized crime, who'd been in the department for 30 years. "Son of a bitch," Kovacs breathed, but it got worse. On the 3rd tape they watched, dated 6 months earlier, another man without a mask appeared. Deputy Chief Richard Holbrook, number 3 in the entire LAPD chain of command. Hayes ran to the bathroom. They could hear her throwing up. "This goes to the top," Reeves said. "We can't trust anyone in the department. So what do we do?" Ramirez asked. "Who do we report this to? If the deputy chief is involved." Reeves thought about Rico, dead or disappeared. Thought about Lieutenant Webb, murdered in his own office. Thought about Maria and the other girls in those photographs. "We go to the FBI," he said. "Organized Crime Unit. This is conspiracy, trafficking, racketeering, federal crimes. We bypass LAPD completely." "We'll be crucified," Kovacs said. "Going over the department's head? To the feds? Our careers are over." "Our careers?" Reeves stood up. "There's a 14-year-old girl in the hospital who was held prisoner for 3 years. There are dozens more girls out there, maybe hundreds, based on those photographs. And you're worried about careers?" "Silent." "I'm in," Hayes said, coming back from the bathroom. "Whatever it takes." Ramirez nodded. "Me too," Kovacs sighed. "Damn it. Okay, but we need insurance. We need copies of everything. And we need to move fast, because once Morrison realizes we have those tapes..." He didn't need to finish. They all knew what would happen. That morning, Reeves made a copy of every tape, sent one set to a lawyer friend in San Francisco, buried another set at his mother's house in Pasadena, kept the originals. At noon, he walked into the FBI field office in Westwood and asked for Special Agent Sarah Chun, head of the Organized Crime Task Force. I need to report corruption in the LAPD, he told her. Multiple officers, up to deputy chief level. Involvement in human trafficking. And I have proof. Agent Chun's expression didn't change. That's a serious allegation, Detective Reeves. I know what it sounds like, but I have video evidence, witness testimony, physical evidence from a crime scene, and I think they're about to kill me to keep me quiet. He told her everything, showed her one of the tapes, watched her face go pale. Jesus, she whispered. How many victims? We don't know. At least a dozen on video. Could be more. Chung made a phone call. Within an hour, the room was full of FBI agents. By evening, they'd set up a joint task force. FBI would take the lead. Reeves and his trusted team would assist. Everything off books, everything quiet. But here's the twist they didn't see coming. 3 days into the investigation, Reeves got a call at 3 a.m. Unknown number. Detective Reeves? This is Captain Morris. Reeves's blood froze. He gestured frantically to Kovacs, who was sleeping on the couch of the FBI safe house they'd been using. Kovacs scrambled to start recording the call. Captain, Reeves said, keeping his voice steady, what can I do for you? You can stop what you're doing. You can burn those tapes. You can forget everything you saw in that house. I don't know what you're talking about. Morrison laughed, a cold, hollow sound. Come on, Mike, we've known for days. Did you really think the FBI was secure? Did you think we didn't have people there, too? Reeves felt the room spin. That's right, Morrison continued. Agent Sarah Chun? She's been on our payroll for 2 years. Every tape you gave her, every piece of evidence, every witness name, we have it all. No. Here's what's going to happen, Morrison said. You're going to have a tragic accident. Car crash, probably. Drunk driving, very sad. Then your little team, Kovacs, Hayes, Ramirez, they'll have their own accidents. All very unfortunate. You won't get away with this, Reeves said. But his voice shook. We already have. We've been getting away with it for 15 years. Do you have any idea how much money is in this business? How many powerful people are involved? This goes beyond LAPD, Mike. It's federal. It's international. You kicked over an anthill and found out it's connected to a whole damn colony. The line went dead. Reeves looked at Kovacs. We're blown. Chun sold us out. They had maybe an hour before Morrison's people came for them. The tapes, Hayes said. The copies. They don't know about all of them, right? They know about the FBI copy, but not the others. Then we use the media, Ramirez said. We leak everything. Once it's public, they can't cover it up. It was risky. It could backfire. But it was their only play. Reeves made a call to a journalist he knew at the LA Times, Greg Patterson, investigative reporter who'd broken several major stories about police corruption. Greg, I need you to meet me right now and bring a camera crew. 2 hours later, in a storage unit in Van Nuys, Reeves held a press conference. Just him, his team, Greg Patterson, and a camera. He told the whole story, showed the tapes, named names, Morrison, Holbrook, Chun, the entire operation. By the time this airs tomorrow morning, Reeves said into the camera, there will be people who want me dead. But if something happens to me or anyone on my team, you'll know why, and you'll know who did it. Patterson ran the story on the morning news, front page of the Times. Network news picked it up by noon. The reaction was instantaneous. FBI director ordered an internal investigation. Agent Chun was arrested within hours. Captain Morrison tried to flee to Mexico, but was caught at the border. Deputy Chief Holbrook was found dead in his garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning, ruled a suicide, but everyone knew better. Over the next 6 months, the entire ring unraveled. 47 people arrested, 12 LAPD officers, 8 FBI agents, politicians, businessmen, gang members all working together. They found 38 victims, rescued 19 who were still being held. The others, they'd disappeared, probably dead. Maria Gonzalez testified at the trial, put away Morrison for life, then disappeared into witness protection. Reeves was hailed as a hero by the media, but inside the department, he was a pariah, the cop who'd betrayed the Brotherhood, who'd gone to the press instead of handling it internally. He didn't care. 6 months after the raid, Reeves sat in his car outside the house on Soto Street. It had been demolished. Empty lot now. Chain-link fence around it. Hayes found him there. She'd stayed on the force despite everything. Said somebody had to rebuild the department into something worth believing in. "You okay?" she asked. "I keep thinking about Rico," Reeves said. "They never found his body. And the collector, Mendez, he never talked. Not once. Took a deal to avoid the death penalty, but never said a word about who else was involved. You think it's still going on?" "I know it is. We cut off one head, but the body's still out there. Different faces, different names, same evil. So what do we do?" Reeves looked at the empty lot, thought about Maria, about the girls in the photographs they'd never found. We keep fighting, one case at a time, one victim at a time. It's all we can do. Here's what the LAPD doesn't want you to know. The investigation only scratched the surface. The trafficking ring had been operating since the early 1970s. Thousands of victims, millions of dollars, and the people at the very top, the ones pulling the strings from outside the department, they were never caught. Some of them are still out there, still operating, still collecting. The lessons from this case: trust but verify. Even the people sworn to protect you can be monsters. And sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't following orders, it's knowing when to break them. Detective Reeves retired in 1992, moved to Oregon, lives a quiet life. But he still keeps copies of those tapes, still wonders about the girls they never found, still wakes up sometimes hearing Maria's scream. Some cases you solve them, but they never let you go. This was one of those cases. What would you have done? Would you have risked everything to expose the truth? Or would you have looked the other way? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And remember, evil doesn't just exist in the shadows. Sometimes it wears a badge. Until next time, stay safe out there.